Five, four, three, two, one. Five, four, three, two, one, and we are live with drones. Oh wait, no, we're not live yet.
Dang it, man.
Oh man, and we're live in three, two, one, and it should be on my Facebook right now. And we're
Sweet.
live with drones after dark. You already know it. Episode 10. That's right. It's a recurring segment.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Did you tag me? No, you didn't. It's cool.
I can't tag you just yet.
I'll
Tag you
I'll
right
share
now.
it. I'll share it.
Edit.
Copy link.
Nope, I can't share it.
I got you. We're good.
Cool. And I'll toss this on UAV.
What is it? Podcast $10. So we're $10 now.
Podcast $10. Oh man, that's on me. Oh boy, fun. To calm. Hey, once we get to the groove of this, it's gonna.
Oh, I'm in the groove. There it is. And I just posted it's mine, so we're good. We're rolling.
Okay, and add a description. Perfect. And
Dude.
we're good to go. So,
Gonna be a great show.
how's your Thursday going?
Honestly, my Thursday actually got to get out, do some flying today. I'm blessed, man. I can't tell you. I'm blessed.
Nice.
Got to get out of this wonderful office and do some flying. Be up today, played with the M300 a little bit. Dying to get the Inspire back out, but it's more of a shelf piece now. But yeah, no, man, it's been a great day. How about yourself?
Yeah. It's nice and relaxing for me. You know how it is. It's the holiday season, so everything's slowing down a little bit, and we're relaxing and just trying to get all the ducks in order before the vacation starts.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So, Drones After Dark, let's go over the two rules real quick. What are you drinking, Bobby?
I've got some good friends, green grape soju right here.
Ooh, yeah, buddy.
What about
Good
you?
stuff, man. So, I'm bringing it back to the Tennessee roots. And I really do think, I know I told you about this drink before. I really do think I coined this term. I really do think that I made this drink. I at least named it. But I am drinking a redneck margarita, which is fucking delicious. But anyways, it is Cuervo 1800 and Mountain Dew.
Nice.
Throw it in there like a 30-60
Ooh.
30-60 mix, ice. Oh man, it's tasty. Honestly, you want to get someone toasted, you can pour them half and half, and you still palatable. The margarita, the tequila, Mountain Dew and tequila.
Yum.
Welcome to Tennessee, redneck margarita.
Well, it depends. Some people just like tequila altogether.
So there's certain tequilas I can drink. I can absolutely drink just straight, sip them, love it. Still a bourbon guy, but there's that one that's in the blue bottle or the ceramic white bottle with the blue. Adrian probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. He's up on his high class stuff, but oh man, there's definitely some good tequilas out there.
Oh yeah.
1800 though is fairly inexpensive, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my buddy's a tequila connoisseur, and he's got all sorts of high-end tequilas, and he just like makes margaritas and all sorts of stuff. And sometimes we just drink it. We just sip it room temperature, neat, and his stuff is really good. I don't really know what it is, but it's good stuff.
Did that do any good?
Hmm. Still
No.
a little latency on my end, but I don't
Do you
know.
want me to leave and come back or what?
A little
I can.
scared to do that because
Ooh, don't
it
be
might
scared.
mess up.
Don't be
All right,
scared.
let's give it a go. Why not? Let's see it.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. And we are experiencing technical difficulties. I will drink grape soju until Jeff gets back. That's enough grape soju. I'm a lightweight. But we've got a great episode going on today. We've got, well, I won't spoil the surprise, Well, actually, it's already in the title. So we've got Adrian Doko coming in from AUVSI, all around cool guy, and also big industry leader.
Any better?
Great,
Sorry,
fantastic.
fam. Apparently, I had some lag, so we had to fix that. No one wants to be laggy. But yeah, man, Adrian. I've mentioned him just about every show we've done. He's, for one, he's the best dressed by a long shot.
Always.
Pretty sure Russell Bradshaw outdid him once. We were at the Venetian, and Russell suited it up. But man, Adrian walks into a room, you know he's there, and dude, legit,
Yep.
absolutely legit.
Adrian's the man.
He owns more Louis Vuitton than the Louis Vuitton store.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I just imagine he just goes into a store and be like one of each in size medium for me, please. Because
that's
I'm
right.
not only am I good looking, but I'm also very jacked and
Yep.
fit.
Yep. So Adrian, president of the Texas chapter of AVUSI, so he is very deep into the drone stuff, balls deep into that stuff. Like he's got his hand in, not his hand, but he's involved in everything drone related that goes on in Texas and elsewhere. I mean, we've had long talks about the fuckery in Florida. There's some new fuckery here in Tennessee. Um, we can dive into that a little later. I got to drink a little more before I start bashing people, but there's some stupid shit going on in Tennessee. But you know, it is what it is. So, but
Yeah. So how did you meet Adrian?
oh god, probably a conference. I'm sure I've seen him and talked to him online and all that before everything, but I can't even picture the first time that I actually met the one and only Adrian Doku. Um, I'd have to say it was. I'm sure it was a conference. I'm sure met him, then hung out after. Probably burned a cigar or two. Drank some amazing bourbon. That's probably why I don't remember exactly where I met him. If I had
Was
to
it a
guess, it was.
couple years back at the Texas Robotics Summit in Burnett?
It very well could have been. I know he was at the last one with us. Oh
Hmm.
man, we were up till 4 a.m. talking binary with K, Special Agent
Oh
K.
man.
Shout out Alltel, man. Stupid smart people out there. But yeah, we were up at 4 in the morning,
He had a
boozing
nice
and
house.
talking drones. That was
It
a
was
nice
impressive.
house.
It was
But
very
yeah,
spacious.
Adrian hung out there. You know, we were shooting the shit all night. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yep. I think we met I met Adrian the same time that you did at the Texas Robotics Summit, and I didn't know him at the time, and he just started talking about all the partnerships and everything. And at the time, I was a little wary because at the time, Pix40 actually burned us at Skybrows, where I was talking to some partners, and I guess I divulged some sensitive information, and Pix40 took it and ran with it. So I was a little wary and cautious about who I was talking to. But Adrian seemed like a super nice guy, and I had my guard up the entire time. But after a little bit, it was all good. But at the same time, I had my guard up with Greg Riverdew as well when I first met him. So I was like very, very suspicious of everybody at that time. But it's water under the bridge these days.
So so I was also a little reserved with Adrian when I first met him, but it wasn't any speculation or anything like crazy like that. No, but when you meet someone for the first time and you've heard about them through other people, like I heard Adrian knew everybody that does anything whatsoever with fucking drones. Anybody and everybody. I was like, whatever, just another person that talks a lot. Um, but no, anybody and everybody that flies robots. Um, so yeah, at first I was like, oh great, another guy that claims to know a lot of people and you know outreach through another nonprofit, AVUSI, and but no, dude, he is very well networked when it comes to the drone stuff and outside of the drone stuff. You need to put a hit on someone, dude. You need his phone number because,
Okay. We gotta
dude, he's my private.
we gotta
Listen,
booze a little more
no,
before we
listen.
start talking about that.
Let's be honest. So, Com UAV, Skydio had their little party that they didn't let anybody into, um, which I had planned on attending. I was going to bring Adrian as my private security because if anybody could take care of business, yeah.
It's gonna be Adrian. All right. So Let's talk about the rules of Drones After Dark before we proceed with this. What is rule number 1, Jeffrey?
You've got to imbibe with us, man. You got to have a drink. Get your drink on. Drink a bunch. It just opens up doors and avenues to conversation that don't normally take place, which is what we're all about. It's talking about half the shit that no one else mentions and talks about. So, got to drink with us.
Absolutely.
And what's rule
What
number 2,
about,
Bobby?
Rule number 2, you gotta fucking curse with us. You gotta say at least one curse word as a guest or as the podcast host. And what about rule number 3, the brand new rule?
Uh-oh. There's a new rule. You got to say fuck Paul Rossi at least once or what?
Whenever you cheers, you gotta say fuck Paul Rossi because he's the old podcast host and he's held our previous podcast hostage.
Holding it hostage.
Literally.
Hey, if you're Facebook friends with Paul Rossi, reach out to him. Make sure you send a fuck Paul Rossi before you defriend him so he knows that, so it doesn't go under the radar. Be like, Drones After Dark is the shit, fuck Paul Rossi, and then just defriend him.
Yep. And make sure to tag him so he gets that notification as
Yeah.
well. Because
Make sure he knows that you defriended him. We're
man,
all about
he's just been ghosting us.
we're all about being in the open. Like, get it out there. Let people know. Like, don't just shadily unfriend somebody. Let them know. Be like, fuck Paul Rossi. Delete.
Delete. There it is. All that transparency. That's right. Because at the end of the day, we started the podcast. It was through our resources at Skybrowse that we managed to get Drones After Dark to the place that it was, with the design skills of our designer team, with the distribution skills of our newsletter and all of our distribution strategies.
We are in
Get
no
where
way
it was.
whatsoever associated with Skybrowse.
We just happened to
Just
work there.
throwing
That's
that
all.
out there.
Yep.
They just happen to help.
Yep.
But
That's
fuck
all.
Paul
It's
Rossi.
Sponsored. Maybe. But yeah, but we had everything all set up, and he happened to have the podcast password and everything, and we tried everything to get it back because he wasn't going to podcast anymore, and I wanted to continue the podcast because hey, we go to a lot of conferences. This is a lot of fun. I do this outside of work and you do this outside of work because
Yeah,
it's fun. We
hell
enjoy
yeah.
doing this. It's a weekly podcast.
This is like a conference it's like a big old conference in my office. After hours party right here where we can, shoot the shit and talk robots.
Yep. Exactly. So that's rule number 3. Every single time you do a cheers, you have to say fuck Paul Rossi. We'll make sure to tell Adrian that as well.
See, that's the thing about Adrian though. Adrian's going to break rule number 3, I can tell you right now. He is one of the nicest people that I've ever met. On top of his knowledge and stuff like that, he's genuinely nice. Like, he likes everybody. He's like, no, you got to give them a shot. You got to understand. Like, you got to see where they're coming from and give them a chance. No, fuck Paul Rossi. But anyways,
He crashed our party at, what was it, ComUAV? We threw a party. He wasn't invited, and he managed to crash it. He got one of our invites and managed to get in, and then he was like, yeah, let's spin up the podcast again. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And he's like, but I want to not really podcast that much, but I want to be like a special guest every single month.
oh
And
God,
then
I'll
he
reach
ghosted
out to
me.
him and ask him. I'm going to reach out and ask him if he'll be a guest. Hell, I'll do that right now.
For Dad? Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm going to
Oh,
ask him to
man.
be a guest on Dad.
That'll be interesting. Dad's going to get more and more antagonistic. Who are we going to invite on? Pix4D? Skydio? Let's see. What other? Ooh, drone responders. Get a bunch
I
of
don't know. Drone responders.
controversial folks.
Drone responders is trying to do some good. They're trying. A for effort. Let's see.
So politically correct.
Paul Rossi. Oh, he didn't even look at my message. What a douche. Hey,
Just the
man.
worst.
Do you want to be a guest on Drones After Dark? Send.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, look, he's listening. He says, yes, you did. Oh, no. Sorry, that was my wife. Ha!
Oh,
No. Anyways, Paul Rossi. Yeah, anyways.
man, oh man. Yep. Well, it is what it is. Sometimes you just end up making bad mistakes, and you end up starting a podcast with the snake. That's all it
Mm,
is.
it is what
Happens
it
to
is.
everyone.
There's a lot of shady people in the drone. I mean, there's a lot of shady people everywhere, right? Um, but let's bring some of that to the light. We're here to shed some light on some things. But yeah, dude, awesome article that Chief Wayne Baker from DJI posted the other day. Actually, I've seen it all over the internet, but Drone DJ posted something that was rather amazing. Granted, it's been said 10,000 times now, and we are literally kicking a dead horse, but DJI drones pass critical data security metrics set by US and Canada. But it's only
You know what?
recognized
I'll
like
play
in Canada.
devil's advocate. So
Oh, here we go.
when
Coming from the Chinaman. Keep that in mind.
Trump banned Huawei, and I was born in China as well. I was born in Beijing.
Yeah.
Mandarin was my first language. When Trump banned Huawei from producing 5G cell towers and distributing it throughout the US, there was a lot of backlash because all of our cell companies in the US domestically was 5 to 10 years behind on this technology. We were nowhere near where they are. And still to this day we're not near that type of technology. And there was a lot of backlash because we wanted to be tech forward. We wanted to have all this technology and everybody was hating on him. Well, it turns out that as of today, there's been some news, and this is unverified at this point. It's just been some videos shared online that uh, China's been having a lot of protests because there's still quarantine lockdowns. It's ass backwards right now, and there's still quarantine lockdowns because of COVID, and a lot of people have been protesting. And on Huawei phones, these videos of the protests have just magically been deleted. So there's some sort of alleged backdoor to their phones where Huawei can, under the control of the Chinese Communist Party, delete those videos. And it's crazy. But
That is crazy.
I see the devil's advocate approach where if China is so anti-protest, anti-freedom of speech, then
They're communist. I mean, it is what it is.
You know?
Yeah.
Then of course they can be anti-everything America, including drones, and just lock every drone down if we're in an active war zone. You know?
So we've learned a lot about that in the last couple of months. Real quick, before we get into this, have you posted this to the commercial users group?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's talk about that for a second. So can DJI lock out a drone from somewhere, something, somehow, some way? Abso-fucking-lutely. Like, there's no question in my mind. Can DJI tell me 90% of the drones in my house can't fly tomorrow? Sure. So let's talk about that. Ukraine, we know what's going on in Ukraine. We had boots on the ground over there. We've had a bunch of people flying robots over there and all that fun stuff. We know a lot of what goes on with drones and war tactics and so on and so forth now because of Ukraine. So take DJI in Ukraine, take all of the other platforms in Ukraine where they're actively using GPS denial and radio signal interference and all of the CUAS stuff that's available. That's real world. That's going to be what it's like in a war zone, whether it's here, whether it's China, whether it's anywhere. If they grounded all the DJI aircrafts tomorrow, that's fine. Let's be honest. Who is it really going to hurt? Like, it would suck, absolutely. But to ban public safety and to ban someone that's flying utility poles for every company is following that whole trend. They're starting to fall like dominoes. DoD said you can't do it, so we probably can't either. No one cares about your utility poles. They're public knowledge. It's on a public database. You can log online and see every single utility pole in the U.S. China does not give a shit what your telephone pole looks like. They don't. Fact of the matter is, having a utility company have someone use a inferior product because of this whole scare tactic thing and the politics behind it is ridiculous. We're not in wartime here. If war hits here and now all of a sudden the inspection people can't use their DJI drones to go inspect telephone poles, it is what it is. But for right now, here in the U.S., drones are being used to save lives. I have personally had live finds, missing people. We found a 17-year-old kid with autism in the middle of a thunderstorm with a Matrice 210. 17-year-old kid, autism, middle of a thunderstorm, middle of the woods, found him with a DJI aircraft. Do you think that family gives a fuck where I bought that drone from or who made it? No. Wartime hits and they ground all the aircraft. What kind of impact is that going to have? Is it going to suck? Absolutely. But right now, politicians are doing the exact same thing. They're grounding fleets of aircrafts. And it's trickling down to private companies. They're grounding fleets of aircraft and requiring blue UAS. Like, do you really think every part in a Skydio drone is made in America? If you do, you're smoking crack. Like, no, it's not. It's just not. I hate to bust your bubble, but chips, things, they're made all over the world. Somebody somewhere else outside of America has touched that product at one point in time.
Exactly.
So it is what it is. We're handcuffing ourselves. And to me, the thing that kills me is we're handcuffing public safety. We're handcuffing people. Like, I go out, I do search and rescue with law enforcement and fire. We're handcuffing those people that are helping other people. Like, we are literally hurting Americans because someone somewhere paid a lobbyist to. I mean, we talk about it every show. But getting back to that article, they have proven the security behind it. Once again, this has been proven, I don't know, half a dozen, 12 dozen, 30, I don't know. It's been proven again and again that that security link is there. The U.S. apparently approved it, and so did Canada. But unfortunately, only Canada is going with it. They're like, oh, yeah, pass that in the U.S. that says these are the standards that it needs to meet. So it's bad. Don't buy it. And that's what's hurting us.
Yep. And going off that point, drones aren't reaching that mass adoption just yet in the public safety space, which is also the space that we're in right here. So a lot of public safety, they've heard of drones, but they don't know the true ROI, the true benefits of drones, which means that the early adopters right now are getting punished by the legislation that we're currently facing, because while they're taking that leap of faith, they're able to convince their admins to purchase these drones and prove ROI. Well, unfortunately, when all these legislations come out, it turns out that they're unable to prove ROI. So these early adopters that took the chance on drones, that were able to see benefits from drones, are now back to square one, which means that right now with legislation, it's only hurting us. It's not helping us whatsoever. This is not going to, even worst case scenario, if we go into war with China right now, we're back to square one. It doesn't hurt us. But right now, the way that we're passing legislation, we might as well be in war with China with everything that's going on.
If we go to war, we're back at square one anyways. The U.S. drones that are flying, there's still going to be GPS denial. There's still going to be radio frequency interference. There's still going to be all that shit that's not going to let everybody fly. It's going to happen. You think you're a hobbyist, you think you're going to get your FPV drone out and fly. I hate to bust your bubble, but those things are being grounded too. Like the stuff you can make in your I've got soldering kit, I make FPV drones as well. Some of that stuff is not flying over in Ukraine because they're jamming the shit out of stuff. So not only will your DJI drones not fly, but most of your shit's not going to work like it should.
I see. Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You just got way louder, Bobby. Way louder.
Yeah. I just heard from Greg that I should bump up my audio a little bit. So here I am.
You bumped it a lot bit.
You just got to lower the audio for me. Yeah.
But good shit. DJI jumped through another hoop that really is going to be nothing because some politician is lining their pockets right now, and it's not going to matter. And it's now starting to hit home. So rumor has it there is a government agency that is a state agency in Tennessee. I'm not going to throw any names out there because it's still rumor. But they're going to be buying from the blue list and supporting stuff that's blue list, specifically because it's blue list. These are people that are making the decisions that have never flown a fucking drone from the blue list. So they're going to be inadvertently hurting the people in Tennessee because, and it gets better. Like, they're not going to publicize this. It's just like, oh, by the way, this is what we're going to buy and this is what we're going to support. We're not going to tell people that we're just buying blue, but that's what we're going to do. So taxpayer money is being thrown out the fucking window on garbage because
I wonder
shit
if
rolls downhill.
ultimately it's from federal funding that's going into that state agency you're talking about.
A lot of it absolutely could be. It absolutely could be, without a doubt. But there's funding elsewhere to buy non-blue drones that. But once this agency actually starts, if they ever start, they're it's government. They're slow as molasses, but just the fact that they're doing it pisses me off.
Yeah. Yeah. Really sad. Especially because you do so much work in Tennessee. You save so many lives. There's proven benefits of using drones in Tennessee, courtesy of you.
In Rutherford County, so it's not just me. Our police department's flying, our fire department's flying, city, county, everybody in Middle Tennessee is flying. And then we've got like Storm Point, 501c3 nonprofit, ports, all of that goes on. I think in the last 2 years we've got like 7 live finds of missing people. We're not talking criminals running and chasing and blah 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 or any of that kind of stuff. We're talking somebody was missing, and now they're found because of a drone. And that's just here in little middle and nowhere Tennessee. So take that and multiply it by the 100,000 other cities out there and counties and whatever else, and it's going to be a hard hit. It's going to be a hard pill to swallow for your emergency agencies. Are no longer going to be able to do everything in their power to find your lost loved one because they're fucking handcuffed, and it's all political.
Yeah. Yeah. It's terrible. But let's
And
change the subject.
But real quick,
Unless you have anything else to say.
yeah, your electricity bill is going to go up because it's going to be more expensive to fly your utility poles, your inspection shit. Everything trickles downhill. It's a bad day. But let's talk some positive shit. Go where you were about
And
to go.
speaking of positive shit, fuck Paul Rossi.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to get positive with a Dokooooo. Oh.
And who's that?
Oh, shit.
It's Adrian Doko. That's right. He's in here. We got sound effects.
Gentlemen, how's my audio? Check 1, 2.
Man, you're sounding good and looking
great.
good.
I'm feeling good,
Sounding
brother.
great.
Thank you.
So,
Nice,
Adrian, you know
nice.
the rules. What are you sipping on, brother?
We are sipping on a little cognac tonight.
Oh, little cognac.
Little
When I said the
cognac.
man has class, did everybody notice the bottle of Louis the 13th he's got there?
And a Texas staple. You can't.
Oh,
Nice.
shit.
You got to get the old school Dr. Pepper, the original formula.
Oh, yeah. Glass bottle and everything. Just wait till they're outlawed, too. They will be eventually.
Nice, nice. And rule number 2, you do have to curse in this podcast.
Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about?
Get out of here. Forget about it.
He was telling you to get the fuck out, not me. I'm just throwing that that
Nah,
out.
come on.
And what's rule number 3, Jeffrey?
Fuck Paul Rossi.
Oh, whoa.
Anytime you cheers, you gotta say fuck Paul Rossi. That's right.
I told
Yep.
you, hey, from the beginning, I said, listen, Adrian is not going to break rule 3. Adrian is
Come
way
on.
too classy to say fuck anybody. You're the nicest guy I've ever met. You will never.
Yeah, I don't know if that, I have a reputation and I don't want to, I prefer the honey method versus the blood method. So we can talk, we can figure things out, guys. Come on, let's work on this.
Yeah. I messaged him. I asked him if he wanted to be on the podcast. We'll see if I hear from him.
I'll give him an offer he can't refuse. Don't worry about it. We'll get him on the podcast.
So we're not like Billy Kyle famous or Greg Ravidu famous or anything like that. We're like, I don't know, we're getting 500-600 views per episode, but out of those 500 views, if we get like 10% of them to message Paul Rossi and be like, oh, I want to see you on Drones After Dark, that'd be awesome. So
Yes,
I know you're
please.
a positive person. If you could reach out to Paul Rossi for me, Adrian, and be like, hey, those guys are great, come on the show and hang out, we would appreciate that just as much as we would someone saying fuck Paul Rossi.
Consider it
You
done.
already know.
My man.
Perfect. So, Adrian, your reputation precedes you. You are the godfather. You know every single restaurateur and every single entertainer in America through the Doko dynasty. How did you get there? how are you a drone legend and an entertainment legend?
I appreciate all the kind words. I'm just a regular Joe like you guys, living the dream. I come from the hospitality background. My father, my grandfather, they owned restaurants in the East Coast. And, it's the hospitality business really opens up the doors and the world essentially to, we engage with a lot of different people from all walks of life. And we want to make sure we make people feel special, if you will. So, you know, growing up in the hospitality industry is really been a game changer for me. And like you said, that's how I get to meet a lot of these folks, just talking to them and understanding their concerns. And it's been a good time, man.
And you carry that
Absolutely.
over to the drone industry for sure. I mean, you carry every
Oh
bit
yeah.
of that over.
Yeah, the drone industry has been super great to me. I mean, they've been really receptive to a lot of the stuff that we've been doing, and like I said, I've been really passionate about the drone space or all things uncrewed in general, whether it's in the air, in the ground, water, outer space. I mean, it's just a fascinating industry to be in right now.
Absolutely. So talk real quick. AVUSI. I mentioned that you were the president of the Texas chapter of AVUSI. You've got the humidor to prove it. Um, so what is AVUSI doing? What are you doing for AVUSI? Like, fill people that don't know the goods, the bads, the uglies. Tell us
Yeah,
about it.
great question. So essentially, the Association for Uncrewed Vehicle Systems International, we are a global nonprofit organization that's dedicated to educating, advocating, and connecting people with these technologies. So essentially, we have teams and folks like me all over the world that try to educate legislators, representatives, folks like that to not make any more regulatory hurdles for our industry or a lot of people don't understand. These folks don't know any better. They don't know a lick about drones in general or autonomous vehicles. So it's our job to educate these folks that are making the laws, and we've been doing a great job of that. The main thing I would recommend is a lot of us we tend to react to when things happen. We have to start being a little more proactive and start explaining to these folks what exactly do we want instead of just saying, "Hey, no, that's a bad idea. You shouldn't do this." Let's make a clear road on what we want, and we can explain that to these legislators.
And if you line that with a stack of $100 bills, they listen a whole lot better too.
Not even. You can just throw in a steak dinner or, something like that. But yeah,
Right?
that's pretty much how it
A
works.
steak dinner, some green tea shots. You know,
Exactly.
the
You got to
classic.
grease some palms somewhere along the way. I mean, it is politics.
Yeah.
Oh man. So what's your most recent endeavor with AVUSI? What is your most recent conference, most recent outreach, most recent thing that you've got going on?
So we're working on a lot of great things. I'm also the chair for the council. So essentially, we get together with all the chapters around the world, and we kind of keep tabs on what's going on. State by state or internationally. There's a lot. There's always something going on. But we're working, like I said, to be proactive for 2023. That our session here in Texas uh, gets back to session, and we want to educate legislators. We're also preparing for our exponential. AUVSI,
Oh
that's one
God, I
thing I love about AUVSI. We're great at throwing conferences and parties and just getting the community together. So that's one of my favorite things that we're working on. And it's going to be in Colorado this next year. So it should be phenomenal times with the drone community.
oh hell yeah. I know we got a
When
big
is
booth
that
there. Can't
conference
wait.
for our viewers that are wondering?
I believe it's in the second week of May. I'd have to look it up, but it's at the Colorado Convention Center, first or second week in May, and it's going to be amazing, especially the after parties. You know
Fantastic.
how we do at the
So
after
real
party.
quick, anybody that has not been to AVUSI, I just want to throw this out there, John and Aaron. So if you're not planning on going and you're like, no, I think we're gonna skip out or so on and so forth. Once the pictures and the stories and shit start hitting social media, you're gonna feel like a douche and you're gonna be like, oh shit, I should have probably been there. And then you're gonna have to buy last minute airfare and last minute tickets, John and Aaron, and you're gonna show up to AVUSI in the middle of the show like, hey, I'm here, which is cool and all, but plan ahead. Like this is a show that you gotta be at. It's one of my favorites. I mean, it's definitely the biggest show I've been to. Oh man.
Yeah, it's huge, and we have international exhibitors. But the cool thing about this is not dedicated to one. I mean, we've all been to conferences where they're focused on public safety,
Yeah.
or drone service providers, or military DoD. This embraces all different unique aspects, and it's not only aerial drones. We have robotics, maritime, all different facets.
Yeah, Boston Dynamics was there, and oh yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
exactly.
yeah. Yep. So if you haven't been, like, this is a robotics. You're going to hear it first, but it's a robotics lover's wet dream. This is, you walk in, I had to go to the bathroom, clean up, and then go back to the show after I first walked in. It is something you walk in, and it's super overwhelming because anything that you've ever imagined robotics, and most of it's shit that flies, but there's a ton of stuff that doesn't, and it's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
It's
I'm definitely
insane.
looking forward to it. It is insane.
And on the record, we are not being sponsored by AUVSI. We gain nothing for promoting AUVSI Exponential. However,
fuck
last year,
that. I expect a steak dinner out
Jeff-
of this shit.
Oh well. All right.
I
Spoke
got
too
some
soon,
steak
but
with your name on them.
But Jeff, last year he went and we did so much business development at AUVSI. All of the contracts, all of the relationships that we were trying to approach throughout the year. It's not the same on Zoom, but
No,
it's
hell no.
a force multiplier whenever have a steak dinner, booze with some 1800 tequila, fuck Paul Rossi, and
Fuck Paul Rossi.
have a great time together. And that's the magic of these conferences, especially AUVSI, because AUVSI is one of the largest out there where you're able to get all sorts of companies, founders, CEOs, executives from every breath of life all in one room. And you can just chat with them.
One of
that.
my highlights of AVUSI was, I think it was day 2. I'm walking so day 1 I went and literally walked every aisle as fast as I could just so I could see everything there. And day 2 it's like, all right, now I know where the shit I want to see is, so I can get to it. And I'm standing there and I look down the aisle, I see this majestic man walk in wearing a head to toe white fucking suit, and it was none other than Adrian Doko. Dude,
Adrian Doko.
I'm telling you, by far the best dressed. If you want to catch Adrian in his, he's always top notch, but if you want to catch him when he is at his finest, man, he looks fucking good during AVUSI.
Yeah, I got to give props to my sister. She works with this clothier company that they take care of me. But you have to, man. The business that we're into, people, first impressions are super important. A lot of people want to knock the suit, and Adrian, don't you think you're overdoing it? But it's super important. And I've never heard a chick says that I don't like a guy in a suit. I mean, it's a win-win. Everyone loves the suit. So
listen to me. Anyone ever tells you that they don't like the suit you're in or you're too much, let me know and we'll go fly penis light shows over the top of their house when they're not home.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be on our trailer. Penis drone light shows. Yeah, but what? It was what was it? ComUAV, not this year, but last year I believe, where Adrian's cousin happened to be one of the managers at a restaurant at the Bellagio. Could you talk us more about that? What happened there?
Talk connected.
Yeah, so like I said, being in the hospitality business and having an extremely large family, we know one another and we keep comms open. And I just made a simple favor for a favor. Hey, I got my buddies in town. I want the best table in Vegas. And they sat us right in front of the Bellagio fountain there. And they stayed up all night. I think John McBride didn't come till like midnight, but normally the restaurant closes at 11. We were there till 2 in the morning at Lago, overlooking the Bellagio fountain, and we had everybody there. It was a great time, man. You never forget those memories. Those are long-lasting, fun times.
Let's be
That's
honest.
just the tip of the iceberg right there, because Adrian, oh man, he's invited me to so many shows with first class tickets right in the front seat and everything, VIP, meet the performer in the backstage, so many times. The Doko dynasty reaches far.
So he mentioned John McBride didn't show up till midnight. Listen, when you have that many autographs to sign, it takes a little while to get through them all.
For real.
You know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I feel bad for him sometimes. He gets pulled in all different directions, but he never says no to anyone. That's why we
No,
all love him so much. He's
yep,
such a great guy.
yep.
You know, if we had a
Fantastic.
handful of more John McBrides in the industry, would be in a better place right now.
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah. But there is only one. There's only one drone Jesus, and man, I'm blessed to call him a friend. Like, golly, good shit.
All right. Next episode, we'll get him on. We'll do some
If he agrees to it, I don't know.
Jesus thing.
I don't know if he'll like our fuckery. Oh, he does behind
What do
closed
you
doors, but
mean?
I don't
He
know.
was on episode number 2 of the OG Drones
Oh,
After
that's
Dark.
right. That's right.
But that
I
was
think-
because Paul Rossi was on there. I don't know if he was doing it for you guys.
Ooh, true.
I think-
maybe he just liked Paul.
Has this season gotten a little more risky than last season, though? I think we might have pushed the envelope a little further this time.
Well, we're kind of separating our, professional work from this podcast altogether. I'm not. This is not endorsed by
Anyone?
the company
Except
that
for-
we happen to work for.
No, absolutely not. Work for it. You don't work for it. You own it. There's a big difference.
I'm
just saying.
You work double. You work twice as hard when you own it. Trust me, Jeff.
Oh yeah, that's the truth. That is the truth. I've told Bobby time and time again, look, I'll work my ass off. I'll work as hard as I can for you, but I will never be able to keep up with you. So I try, but no, I don't know if it's an age thing or a drive thing. I think it's a little of both.
No,
but
it's just. I think it's more nature than nurture, where the nature of owning a company means that you just get info thrown at you from all directions, and you kind of got to sort it and deal with it. So whatever that info might be, either turns into something actionable or just gets tossed or something that gets pushed back, And I just get a shitload of that every single day. Just a bunch of text messages,
yeah.
bunch of emails. So if I don't respond too quickly, well, I guess you got pushback, or maybe I forgot about it.
and it's not like owning a restaurant where you have a bad day, you get to just go pull a bottle of Louis off the shelf and start pounding it, and then eat a steak, and
Hey,
you're
yo.
all of a sudden comforted. Like, man, tough shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Adrian, what's the number one product as far as drones go that you've seen released this year? It doesn't even have to be the number one sold, the number one, just the coolest thing that you've seen. It could be anything, a drone accessory, a drone in and of itself. What's the coolest shit you've seen this year, you think, as far as drones go?
Man, I love what Matternet's doing, dude. They're a complete solution. If you've heard about Matternet, one of the first FAA certificated drones, but their pods. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. If you look at the consumer level, the Mavic 3 Mini Pro is obnoxious, dude. That drone is like, you don't need any other drone beside that one right now if you're doing whatever you're doing. And then, there's some commercials, some DoD stuff that are happening right now, and there's just so much going in our industry always, and it's hard to keep up with everything. But from the consumer perspective, I would say that Mavic Mini 3 Pro is just an amazing piece of tech that has democratized aviation. Anyone can become a pilot now for $150 and another $800 or $900 with this particular drone. The world is your oyster, essentially.
They've opened up a lot of doors for sure. A lot of doors with good freaking tech. We're not talking a $99 Holy Stone. Like, this is a drone that essentially most people would have considered a toy, that you can get professional video and professional photos and crazy shit.
And to
Alien
this day,
technology.
it's cheaper. It's cheaper than the drones that we could have gotten in the past, like a Phantom 4. It's literally
Yeah.
cheaper than the Phantom 4, not including inflation. So it's way cheaper if you count in inflation
Yep.
than the Phantom 4, which was the go-to drone, or the Mavic Pro, which was the go-to drone.
Yep. So you mentioned Matternet. I saw that they've got that new drone that's been certificated, and it's a delivery drone for anybody that doesn't know. The one thing I haven't seen is the scale of it. So that was one thing I realized at AUVSI. There's a lot of drones that I've seen, and so like I've flown every DJI drone, every Altel drone, just about any drone you can buy on Amazon. including the bigger shit, the M600s and Dragonfishes and all that. But the scale of some of these delivery drones, we're talking twice the size of an M600. Like even the Agris, the agricultural sprayer, the new whatever it is, the big one that DJI just released. I've seen it on video, I've seen it on computers, I've seen it online, but when you stand in front of that thing, it is massive, like the size of a car, massive. And I just wonder how big that new Matternet drone is that's been approved for flights over people, the new delivery drone, because you really can't tell online. I can't wait to see it in person. Absolutely can't wait.
Yeah, that's not as big as the Agris T40, but it's probably a little larger than your Inspire 2, and it's more dedicated. See, it's really hit the ground running in Europe right now because they're using it to save lives by transporting organs and vitals. Uh, that's been a real blessing for our industry is how we're saving lives. Usually, if you look at the media, they're not doing us any favors. They're always
No.
saying like, "Oh, drones are spying on us, or they're killing us, or they're," But we have to do a better job of showing folks how we're saving lives, how we're saving time, how we're saving money before people even listen to these conversations, because that's what they want to hear. What's in it for me? Well, I can save your life. Oh, okay. Let's
Yeah.
listen to this guy. He might be, it might be interesting conversation. So that's the approach we need to take.
And look at how long it's taken to get there. Like Zipline. Zipline has been delivering blood and shit like that for a long time. For anyone that doesn't know, Zipline's a fixed wing. Like at least that's what you see a lot of. They launch it off a thing and they deliver whatever it is, mainly blood and medical stuff. But I don't even know. I should Google it when they actually started Zipline. But it's taken us this long to get the FAA to say, hey, oh yeah, that drone's good to fly over people, or that drone's good for this or that. Whereas we can't do a lot of that in the U.S. because of regulation, and over in Europe and elsewhere, they've opened a lot of doors as far as like, yeah, sure, no, go ahead, we don't care. We're in the middle of Nigeria, fly that thing wherever you want. People need blood, just go. So the test bed over there is crazy, and seeing that Matternet has been over there and has the testing and all that stuff going on.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jeff. If I can just plug in real quick. Full transparency, I'm the lead drone pro for the FA safety team here. And you have to understand, we have one of the most complicated airspaces in the world. Zipline was strategic. They thought that through and they understood that, hey, listen, we can do these type of critical missions without any pushback from any regulatory
Mm-hmm.
bodies and prove that, have the data sets to come back to the FAA. Zipline is the largest drone delivery provider in the world.
Yep.
Uh, Google, the biggest conglomerate in the space, they're second. They're far behind. Then you have companies like Amazon, Flytrack. There's a lot of
UPS. Yep.
PS. There's a ton of drone delivery happening that we don't even know about. But it's interesting to see how at the beginning folks were like, no, there's no way. How are they going to make money off of this? There's no need for this, and that's growing exponentially because folks are realizing the benefits of drone delivery.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Um, there's a hurricane, Texas. It had to have been 4 or 5 years ago, but they were delivering hospitals. It wasn't far. We're not talking like 20, 30 miles. They literally couldn't get the trucks to the hospital. So they were using shit like M600s to just fly and drop medical supplies between the trucks and the hospital because they couldn't get them there. Um, eventually, yeah, drones. Good shit.
Even during COVID, don't forget a lot of these retirement homes they were cesspools for COVID, and
Yeah.
the only way for them to receive their meds were through drones, or let's say how do you call it, sanitizing a lot of these places. They're using drones. Well, they were using drones before when COVID was heavy. Now they're transitioning to other protocols, but yeah, we've really proven our case why drones are here for good. It's just we as an industry have to step up instead of complaining. Let's offer that solution to say, hey, this is the way it needs to be done. FAA, grab them by the hand and walk them through the door. Otherwise, it's just going to be an uphill battle.
For sure. So, do the politics scare you at all? I mean, knowing that, like the FCC, let's be honest, they snap a finger and a drone company shut down, and that's been threatened with DJI, with just about anybody. but knowing that they have the power to regulate the radio frequencies and the stuff that goes into making the technology, does that scare you that there's a federal agency that can literally say, you're done, and shut down the drone industry as a whole if they wanted to?
That's a great question. My perspective is they work for us. If they ever tried anything like that, we're not like a lot of other countries. We can stand up and unify and mobilize the community if that was ever to happen. And this is something that AUVSI specifically excels at. We are able to have these grassroots advocacy throughout the nation that can get up and educate legislators. And so that's the main thing we need to start realizing. These things get done behind, board of directors need to be involved, and people who own businesses like us, we need to step up and educate these legislators. But if the FCC would ever to pull something like that, that would really energize the industry a lot more than decapitate it.
Agreed. It would at least get people to pay attention. Because right now, people are used to going to Best Buy, buying their drone, flying it, and they don't think about what the White House is thinking, what they're thinking in D.C. They have access to, but I think you're right. I think if they ever tried to step up and say, "Hey, by the way," I think the outreach and the outpour of people stepping up that haven't yet would actually be really beneficial for us, and that's a very good point. But what I was getting at is there are like AUVSI. AUVSI is one. There's several. Obviously, AUVSI is my favorite, right? But they're doing good things to actually not just talk about drones and show people how cool they are, but actually reaching out to politicians and pushing on that end as well. Like the work you're doing, for sure.
Yeah, and another point, do you think the FCC would ever do that? The Texas Border Patrol relies on UAVs super heavy. If they were ever to pull a stunt like that, that would just really hurt the nation more than they realize. But AUVSI, and keep in mind, I'm not paid by AUVSI. I'm just a volunteer. I don't have a paid position, but I understand the importance of creating a community, right? So we have strength in numbers, and if you get enough, I own an independent drone service provider. I'm a drone service provider, right? And I pay taxes just like everyone else. So if I make my voice heard to my legislators and explain why it might be a bad idea, and I invite Amazon and Google and all these other large conglomerates that are in that space, which we have done several times here in Texas. There were some bills that were really counterproductive for the industry. However, they saw the amount of money, tax dollars, that would be lost by implementing those type of laws, and they just, it was a clear sign for them that it's not a great idea to impose. The laws are in place already. We have laws in place. There doesn't need to be special laws for drones. We have privacy laws. We have all different type of safety laws. These laws have been in place for years, decades. There's no reason to create more laws.
Yep. Why reinvent the wheel? And that's a great point. So surveillance laws, people are like, "Oh, your drone's spying on me." No, that's illegal. It's not the FAA that regulates that. Yes, they regulate everything in the air, but if you're actively surveilling someone, you need a warrant to do that. And that's across the country. That's not just Tennessee or Florida or Texas or anywhere. If you're going to do surveillance, and there is actually a government written definition for surveillance, if you're going to do surveillance on someone, you need a warrant to do it, whether you're law enforcement or a person or whatever it may be. So, but yeah, laws are out there. Why reinvent the wheel for something that's already been established and works? And I talk to a lot of law enforcement agencies. We tell them the same thing. They're like, "Well, what do we need to write for our data retention policy?" It's like, you guys wear body cameras. Copy that shit and paste it. Same fucking thing. It's a drone it's a flying camera. Copy your body camera retention policy, paste it under your drone retention policy, and move on with life. Like, there's no reason to recreate shit that doesn't need to be recreated. But so, Bobby, we lost you. Are you feeling better? Had to go too many drinks, or
no? I'm all good.
All right.
Yeah, just a little column A, a little column B.
Salud.
Fuck Paul Rossi.
Fuck Paul Rossi.
God bless Paul Rossi.
Man, that looks a whole lot like
nice.
antifreeze. That'd be another good name for that drink.
That looks
antifreeze.
like nuclear piss right there. It's a redneck mark, but man,
It's a
does it look rough.
Redneck margaritas.
Oh man, we gotta get Russ. We gotta get Russ to drink some of those. I feel like Russell from Storm Point, his southern accent gets real southern when he gets drunk. It gets real southern.
He's such a freaking trip, man. He is a real trip. So the thing with Russell is when he's in Tennessee, he's always got that professional persona. Like he has to be professional 24/7 because you never know. The phone's going to ring or a call's going to go out and all of a sudden he is in the middle of the shit flying robots trying to help people. And he's always ready for that. But when we get to go to conferences, he gets to let loose a little bit. And that's when you get to see that southern twang come out. If you've never seen Russell drunk, dude, oh yeah. Super fun to be around.
And he's such an intelligent man. I appreciate Russell's friendship.
Yep.
He's such a smart guy. And the stuff that he's doing, man, a lot of people don't realize. There's guys out there that are saving so many lives and helping people out in the industry that they don't get any accolades, which is unfortunate.
No. He doesn't want that limelight. Did you see where he's at right now?
Oh yeah, tell us, Jeffrey. Where's Russell?
Dude, he's in Estonia right now.
Oof.
He's out. No, he's having a good time, man. He's sitting in the snow right now. He's posting pictures to Facebook right now, standing in front of Christmas trees and eating good food and living it up.
Fantastic. What's he doing in Estonia for? Does he have family out there?
No, it's vacation. So Storm Point initially started with a very friendly gesture. Someone that knew Russell and someone that Russell had helped out because he is genuine. I mean, he'll take a shirt off for anybody. Take shirt off or give you the shirt off his back. He'll take it off for anybody too. But anyways, so he had helped someone along the way, and this someone turned out to be rather well off in the long run. And they actually came to him and they're like, "Hey, if we were to give you a bunch of money, would you want to start a nonprofit?" And that's how Storm Point was initially spurred off. It wasn't money, but it was an equipment donation. They donated a Matrice 210. Russell had one of the first 5 Matrice 210s in the country that was actually purchased. I'm sure other donors were out there, but Matrice 210s, Inspires, a bunch of other stuff. But anyways, why he's in Estonia, the people that were nice enough to make that initial donation to Storm Point offered to take him there. That's where they're from, and now he's enjoying life. So yeah, he's out there hanging out with friends.
Well deserved.
Pretty sweet.
Absorbing
Well deserved.
some international drone country. Man, let me tell you guys, internationally, dude, these drones are taking off. No pun intended. I mean, I've got offers from all types of people say, "Hey, come out here." Matter of fact, next week 2 weeks from now, I got a gig out in Mexico. One of the biggest EDM festivals is going to be out in this beautiful place called Paradise right there in Cancun, and they're like, "Hey, come out there, bring your." I did a gig. I did a destination wedding out there like 3 years ago, and that resort called me like, "Hey, we're having a festival or a concert out here. Can you fly your drones?" I'm like, "Well, technically I can't. I have to be a Mexican citizen, but there's some workarounds and something we can do to go out there and get some epic footage." But dude, internationally, drones we're so far behind when it comes to, capabilities as far as utilizing this technology. Then, you go to some countries like Iceland and Norway, for example, they're one of the most progressive drone countries in the world because you can pretty much do whatever you like within reason, right? Safety's first and foremost, but they don't have the stuff that we have. I flew into Parliament in Sweden a couple of years back, and nobody even batted an eye. You try doing that in DC.
Listen,
Oh.
next time you're in Sweden flying the fucking Parliament, would you skybrow? Golly.
Yeah, please make some 3D models.
Hell yeah. Skybrow's the Parliament. It'll only take you a minute and a half, surely.
Exactly.
No. I mean, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of European countries that are way more progressive in terms of drone laws than we are. I was flying in Portugal in Lisbon specifically in 2019, and I was able to fly at their parliament with no issues whatsoever, no fly zones or anything. And this was also the day before their celebration for the end of World War One. So they had F-16 jets flying above us and everything, and I had to lower my drones because I saw the F-16 just like flying through. It was crazy, but they were very, very progressive in terms of how drone pilots could operate. And I think it's a lot. It comes down to a lot of trust with drone pilots. And again, there's two schools of thoughts. One is in terms of trust. Either people do what they're able to because they know that there's less drone regulations, or there's more drone regulations in other countries, or they realize that they're not able to fly altogether on this side. So it's kind of like how the FAA, the rules are written in blood, and they're unable to really, you're unable to fly because FAA realizes you're probably going to mess something up, and there's less trust in the drone pilot, as opposed to in the European countries where there's a lot more trust in terms of what you can get.
Well, not only that, they realize the value. I'm sorry, Jeff. I didn't mean to cut
No,
you
go
off.
go, brother, go. I
They
talk way too
understand
much, anyways.
the return on
Yep, yep,
investment for
yep.
these European countries is just incredible. To set up an aviation program cost them millions versus a few thousands with the drone program. So you're spot on, Bobby. I totally agree. We just have to do a better job. We tend to blame the FAA. I think we have to blaming ourselves as an industry. The FAA is severely underfunded. They're lacking. It's a good old boys club. It's all manned aviation there. We need more folks like me, Jeff, you, everyone else to step up and start getting involved. I volunteer. I'm a drone pro here in North Texas. We need more of our team on the team so we can make an impact. Otherwise, we're just twiddling our thumbs.
Yep. We do a lot of that, and sitting on thumbs too.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, this is just going to be speculation, right? Where we don't know who's right until I guess ultimately we have a massive drone disaster, which hasn't happened just yet. There's no one massive drone disaster that's completely changed legislation altogether. So we just gotta wait until either it happens or it doesn't, and we'll see which school of thought is right.
And in all seriousness, so the FAA started out super restrictive with drones. I say super restrictive. Was it really? But I digress. Anyways, so the FAA started out, when you're talking planes, every FAR, every federal aircraft regulation was written in blood. Somebody died, so they wrote a regulation to stop it from happening. Somebody else died, they wrote another regulation. With drones, it was all written on what ifs. But if you look at the approach they took, so take something like BVLOS. To get a BVLOS waiver, it's fuck everybody. No, you're not getting a BVLOS waiver. But they're starting to loosen those restrictions. But if you look at their approach with it, it's probably really smart because it's easier to loosen restriction, not necessarily government-wise. Typically, it's a lot harder to loosen. Once restrictions in place, you're fucked. But with something like aviation, it's a lot easier to start giving people more permissions than it is to take them away. So if you just started giving out BVLOS and then people started fucking up, it's a whole lot harder to tell the next guy, hey, we can't give you that BVLOS waiver because these 12 people fucked up. The 13th guy doesn't want to hear that. So it's a lot easier to say nobody gets it and start trickling them out and see what works, and then base the other people that get them on the shit that worked, which makes sense. I mean, it really does. It sucks because I feel like everything's slow played, but it really does make sense. But
so here's what's going to happen, Jeff. You're going to have a lot of these bigger companies like Amazon's, like Google's, like UPS that are initially going to fund these new, like BVLOS is becoming a thing more and more. Unmanned traffic management is going to become a thing, but we need those big companies with those big dollars to invest in those technologies before us little guys can realize a lot of that. Same thing like with the phone, right? The Apple phone, they democratized GPS and fitting, making those components smaller and cheaper. We need more companies like that to kind of, trickle down essentially to us smaller folks for us to get the full benefit of these technologies. But we need to start forming or mobilizing either drone service providers. I know the DSP is doing a great job. Vic Moss and Kenji Sugahara, they're trying to gather that community and mobilize the community. But also entrepreneurs and business folks such as us, we need to start getting together and approaching. I think in February we're going to be going to Washington D.C. and actually talking to these legislators, to these representatives, senators, who have you, to try to educate them. They really don't know. It's not their fault until they understand, why we need these technologies to move the country forward.
It's true. It's 100% true. We need larger conglomerates of people doing the right thing. Now, there are several that are out there trying to not necessarily do the right thing, like monetize airspace. I won't get into that right now, but there's definitely companies that are pushing for the monetization of airspace. Like, oh yeah, you want to fly here? Pay for it. But
like AirMap.
There you go.
That's why they're not around anymore, but they're still in.
It happens. It happens. Deal with it, pussy.
It happens here in Texas. We need to, that's a no-no. You don't do that. So there's other ways to make money, but let's not monetize the airspace.
Okay, so we're talking about drone service providers and the challenges that they're facing, including monetized airspaces. If I was a noob drone service provider and I wanted to get into the drone service space, how would I go about it?
Rule number 1, don't underestimate your value. That's the biggest problem for drone service providers. I seen on a commercial user group yesterday, this guy was selling $150 to come and map your property or your structure. They used to pay tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of $1,000 to do that. Why are we selling our services for $150? Come on, folks, you're better than that. Your drone costs you $1,000. Your insurance costs you $500. Why are you doing this gig for $150? Wake up.
Race to the bottom.
I understand you're new and you want to get clients and you want to build this portfolio. Don't underestimate your value. That's the biggest problem in our industry, specifically for drone service providers.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what's going to make it a race to the bottom is, oh, well, I can do it cheaper. Well, no shit you can. Like a 13-year-old kid can go to Best Buy and buy a Phantom 4 and take pictures of your house for real estate. What does he care? He'll $30, you can have these photos. What's he going to do? Go buy a bag of weed? He's not trying to support a family and an industry. And like, there's a lot more that goes in. He's not getting insurance. He's not, there's a lot to it that don't try to compete against a 14-year-old kid because it's not worth it. Compete against the professionals that are doing professional mapping or professional photos or, the ones that actually have insurance and a legitimate business. Don't try to put yourself up against the kid that's trying to buy a bag of weed because he's going to undercut you in price.
Jeff, that's a really good point. So like, what stops that 14-year-old kid from beating you out on a contract? Like, why does that person, the client, care about the 14-year-old kid that might not even have a 107?
Yeah, hopefully once remote ID comes in effect September of next year, they have to care. There's going to be a way where eventually we're going to industrialize the Part 107. Hopefully there'll be a Part 108 or some other type of standardized or standardization of drone service providers. But the client is never going to care. But unfortunately, the client ends up calling us after that 13-year-old kid does it because whatever they did was crap. They didn't like it, and they're like, hey, I'm sorry, can you come and redo this? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, but it's going to cost you 5 times what you paid for, and they don't even bat an eye. So don't be afraid to raise your prices. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Inflation is real, folks. Come on, we can do better as a community or as an industry. I just throw up sometimes. I see these guys doing gigs. I'm like, well, how much you make off of that? And it's incredible. And when I tell them my day rates and they're like, there's no way. I'm like, dude, here's the receipts. So
But
yeah,
some of them are looking to build long-term relationships, Adrian.
well, they want exposure, right?
No, but in all
It's
seriousness,
all about the exposure.
you hit the
Yeah.
nail on the head though. Like, in all seriousness, if you're trying to create a professional business, the people that are having the kid fly for a 6-pack of beer are not the people that you want as a customer anyways. There's plenty of clientele out there. So take real estate, for example. They're making 3 to 6% of the sale. When they sell a house, say it's a $500,000 house, they're making 3% of that. For you to come out and fly some pictures for $1,000, $1,500 is not tapping into that 3% of that 500,000 for that house that they're fucking selling. So the people that are legitimately selling or legitimately mapping or doing data collection, the ones that are making money doing whatever it is they do that have legitimate business, you are saving them money even at $1,000 for drone flights, even at $2,000 for drone flights. There's always going to be some douchebag that's willing to fly for six-pack of beer. Is that really the clientele that you want? The one that's willing to hire their 9-year-old nephew and go out and buy a 6-pack of beer to serve their minor nephew? Like, no, that's not the people you want as clientele. So, but don't be the race to the bottom either. I mean, the first contract job I did out in California flying utilities, hell, we were making almost $900 a day. Was it more than what we deserved? Abso-fucking-lutely. But now there's some companies paying people $25 an hour to do the same shit we were doing 4 years ago. And that's not worth it at all. But some fucktard with a drone is willing to take that job.
So, Adrian, that brings up the question, if there's a 19-year-old kid that just graduated high school that doesn't want to go to college, was really passionate about video games and got into drones, and now he or she is looking to become a drone service provider and service a real estate company. They're looking to take some pictures of a house, make a panorama, do a fly through of the area with a Nevada on the inside and fly through on the outside. And they're looking to just get their feet wet in this industry. They're willing to do it for experience. What would you say to them? Why would they not choose a lower pay just to get that industry experience, just to distinguish themselves from everyone else?
No, absolutely. I mean, I've done free jobs back in the days when I first started. Sometimes you have to educate your client and why you're offering a solution. They don't realize the benefit of your services. I'm all for it. I've done several free gigs. I'm not saying it. My beef is with these long-term service contracts that people are nickel and diming. That's my beef. For those folks that are just starting off, absolutely, you want to build a portfolio, but keep in mind, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Start establishing relationships with, if you're in the real estate industry, reach out to your local realtors. There's usually groups, or even on Facebook. Reach out to them, say, hey, listen, here's my work. I can offer these services for this price amount. That's fine. You can start off somewhere. My beef is, once you started off and you're in a comfortable position, you can make a great living as a drone service provider. Eventually, you're going to mature and you're going to offer different services, perhaps even consultation at one point. However, know your worth and establish your clientele to the point where you can make a comfortable living. So I'm not knocking the folks that are starting off. It's these guys that know better. They've been around for a while, and out of spite, they're undercutting the guys that have been doing this for a while, that are legal, that have insurance, that are doing the right thing. That's concerning to me.
Those are the same guys that are flying for the bag of weed, dude. It really is. I mean,
They're undercutting legislation, and that's all it is. I mean, if we look at the drone industry as a whole, in terms of, say, for instance, 3D modeling, every 3D modeling company kind of stays in their lane. Pix4D stays in the surveying and construction lane. Drone Deploy stays in the construction and agricultural lane. Skybrowse stays in the public safety lane, right? We all focus on our industry verticals because we're the best at what we do. And in this case, on the drone service providers lane, it's just race to the bottom right now in terms of, hey, I can get this massive customer that could potentially pay us a lot more money in the future by undercutting our competitors. And that's really shitty.
Well, that's like even Greg said it. Greg Pilot Institute. Shout out to Pilot Institute. But he said quality of service. That's how you get around it. It's the quality of service. Like a free handy goes a long way. Let's be honest. You give somebody something free, it can help build the portfolio, and it can help. But you're right, Adrian. It's the guys that have been doing it for 4 or 5 years that are like, oh yeah, $25. It's 5 minutes of my time. What do I care? They're selling themselves short. They're not only doing that, but they're hurting everybody else in the process. Like, I'm not one of those. I won't get out of bed for $2,000. I'm not. If I feel like I could do some good, or if I feel like the client, I can help them out by cutting them a break, that's one thing. But if someone posts a job, hey, $25, all it is 10 photos, and we're looking to build a long-lasting relationship, take your relationship and shove it. This is what I cost. So
and meanwhile, Drone Up has become one of the biggest drone companies in the world, and Drone Base is getting richer by the day because there's folks they don't understand their worth. They really need to educate themselves. And then also, it's cool to take pretty pictures and videos. We all love to do it, but the money is in the technical work. Once you start educating and investing in yourself and understanding how to utilize different payloads, different sensors, thermal sensors, optical gas imaging sensors, or the mapping space. There's a lot of money in this industry that's left on the table because people want to be happy-go-lucky and take pretty pictures and videos for the Instagram feed. Meanwhile, the professionals are actually utilizing the technology to establish 6-7 figures a year.
Yep. And that's just it. They're worth 6 or 7 figures a year. It's not like they're raping somebody on their prices. It's not like it's people that fucking work hard that are doing the right thing and putting out a quality product that deserve that 6 figures a year. But yep. Fuck Paul Rossi.
What do you say, Adrian?
He won't. No, you can say fuck Skydio. Oh wait, you won't say that either.
Oh.
Hey, Skydio partnered with us a couple weeks ago. We had a great party. They bought barbecue. Skydio, say what you want about Skydio. It's business, right? You have to be a shark in business. You have to find whatever competitive advantage you can take and expose that, really dial it in. Skydio understands they're an American-based company.
Is it worth people's lives?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Business is business, but fucking public safety is another thing.
That's not how they look at it. They look at it like they can save the same lives that anyone else can. So you can't knock Skydio, man. Although
I can.
What they're doing here in Texas, obviously they have 3 lobbyists here that are trying to Florida our Texas and making exactly and
treating politicians like strippers.
Yeah, we're not going to let that happen, but you have to give credit where credit is due. Skydio's done a great job of not maturing as a company, and John McBride said it best. We still don't have an industry. Give Skydio another 5 or 10 years, and I'm telling you, it's going to be a different landscape in the drone space once Skydio finally catches up. But it's going to take a good 10 years for them to do so.
So
that's the issue, though, because Skydio's competitors will be another 5 years ahead of Skydio. So we'll see stuff that we'll see in 5 years, in 10 years for Skydio. It's never going to catch up. That's the unfortunate fact of the matter.
Nope. The fact of the matter is they fucked public safety. I won't be able to get over that personally. I won't. Even if they did catch up, they won't. But even if they did, they fucked public safety. I personally, it's a personal vendetta, and it is a vendetta. I absolutely have zero respect for Skydio as a company. I have respect for their technology. Their obstacle avoidance and some of the shit that they have is absolutely fucking phenomenal. The rest of their product, there's a lot to be a 12 megapixel sensor on a drone in 2022. That's like literally you took a fucking Phantom 3 camera and put it on a drone, and this is the best you've got for public safety, and that's what you plan on the M30s and M300s. That's what you're going to replace those with, is a 12 megapixel camera. Like, get the fuck out of here. They fucked public safety in Florida, and they're trying to do it in Texas, and they're trying the agency in Tennessee that's going blue. This all stems from, it's actually stemmed from far before that with the 5Cs paper that Skydio put out and Charles Warner and drone responders supported. But they fucked public safety, dude. You can partner with them and you can wish them the best, and I wish everybody the best, but they made a wrong that right now they can't make right because they're not trying. They're still dumping money into those politicians and still trying to push that same anti-China agenda. Like, I wish we could buy tools made in the U.S. to do a job. I really do. I wish to God we could, even if they cost twice as much. Whatever. The fact of the matter is the tools aren't available like an M30 or an M300. They're not. There's not a tool available for a law enforcement agency to use to do what they do, saving fucking lives. They're putting their lives on the line, and people greasing palms of politicians because they can't beat their competition. It is what it is.
The main issue is like back in 2019 when they released the Skydio 2, this technology has stayed the same up until almost 2023 in a month. So for almost 3 years, it's been just about the same. There's nothing that's changed. Whereas if you look at their competitors, other drone companies, Chinese companies, French companies, they've expanded significantly compared to what they do.
Parrot, look at what Parrot was 2 years ago, and look at them now. Like, the last drone that they released is actually it's not DJI, but it's far superior to what the initial product was that they released 2 years ago. Skydio is the same dog, same tricks, different packaging. You can't polish a turd, and they've raised, as far as I know, they've raised more money than any other drone company in the U.S. out there by a long shot, and their product is still garbage. Like, cool options, cool can follow vehicles. Yay, it'll follow me on my one wheel. Not worth risking lives of public safety and people that are actually using them to do good, because they're not up to par for that shit. They're not.
$160 million.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all it is.
Let's go in chronological order here, though. Keep in mind, Parrot had a drone company back in 2010 before DJI did, right? So I think it was like one of my first drones, the AR or something like that. It was at CES. And then DJI came out, and then, Skydio was a little late, to be fair, and keep in mind, these other companies have been subsidized, right? They had investments from either their governments or what have you. So I think through leadership, they might be able to catch up, but their biggest issue right now is their actual product, their platform. They need to focus those resources, those monies, instead of putting them in lobbyists, focus that same resource into your platform. Start utilizing better sensors. Skydio to me is just a software company. They're not even a drone company in my mind.
Yeah.
They're essentially just building the software, which is great. That's fine. However, drone service providers are our solution is based or revolves around the sensor. We need better thermal sensors, better RGB. And better user interface, to be honest. We need more connectivity, and we need longer range through the RC controller. I'll tell you several nightmares. I did a military job using a Skydio drone, and it didn't go well, to be honest with you. So, if they focus the same resources on their tech, on their platforms, they'd be on top of the world. But they're, transitioning to lobbying and other less productive ways of furthering their agenda.
So, and as far as furthering their tech goes, they have handcuffed themselves to this point. So, not going to throw names out there, but someone that does a bunch of stuff for Skydio and works for Skydio and so on and so forth told me flat out, said, we sold the world that we were a U.S. drone, and the world believed us. Now they have to follow suit with that. They have to, everything is U.S., everything is U.S., everything is blue, so on and so forth. The reason their camera is garbage is because they can't source it from China. They could have better optics on a great fucking drone, but they've handcuffed, they can't, because they've already taken that path that they're on. And the amount of time that it'll take them just to catch up with the sensors alone, So Sony, and there's a bunch of stuff. Korea's got some good. Canon. I mean, there's a bunch of places out there that are making great cameras that are not China. But take something like Hasselblad. That's why DJI's optics are where they're at. Skydio doesn't have that option. They don't have that doorway to go. Now it's, sorry, get some U.S. The same boat Brink's in. Brink's trying to stay all U.S. That's why their VTX is garbage and their cameras aren't up to par. Because they're trying to use shit that, yeah, it's U.S. Great. That's all it is. It's not up to par for what we're doing for public safety. It's not something I would be willing to risk my life on any day of the week. It's not.
Yeah, and if you've noticed, just earlier this week, I believe it was Red Hat Holdings sold all of their consumer division. They own Fat Shark, they own Rotor Riot, but they sold that so they could focus on their Teal division. Now, Teal is one of those blue UAS that are on
Really?
the list because that is where the money's at. So you're going to notice a lot more. I think we need to start stepping up as an industry and just create a different tier of, so we have our blue UAS, why not let's create a silver UAS or red or whatever color you want it to be, but we standardize, okay, what's the fear here, what's the issue? You know, it can't be because it's from China. If that's the issue, I mean, everything's from China. There's no workaround there. It has to be some sort of standardization where either it's the data transfer or some other variable that we can all agree to and say, okay, here's another category. If you can confine to these specific requirements, then yes, you can operate in the United States or operate whatever you want to, you know, consider it as. So I think that's the best approach.
I agree. And that's what I was touching base on in the beginning of this whole podcast, was that article that verified that Canada and the US say DJI is safe and secure through a set standard. Not because of where it's made, not because they verified the security and the sensitivity of the data. But talking about the whole silver thing, you take something like a Brink lemur and throw the new DJI 03, the new 03 air unit, throw that in a lemur, and you've just solved 70% of Brink's problems. Like overnight, boom. Your VTX, your camera, shit is way better. Like picture quality is better, the range is better. All of a sudden, overnight, magical fix for an analog signal and shitty range and having to use repeaters for stuff and all that. Not that the Brink drone is a bad drone. It's not. They don't have access to stuff because they're trying to stay solely U.S. made. If they were to throw an air unit in a lemur, honestly, the lemur might be worth it. And it's same thing goes for Skydio. Like, get a silver drone or a purple drone or whatever the fucking color you want to throw at it. But allow certain things to, not even certain things, allow all of it to be made based on a set of standards as opposed to, hey, it was made here, it was made there.
It's the logical response. That's all it is. And speaking of logical, Antonio White from our Facebook chat asks, anyone want to buy my Skydio 2?
I might buy it just to piss on it.
You know why he's selling
okay?
it? I know Tony really well, and the reason he's selling it is because, you know, Skydio is nickel and diming you to add features to it. That, you know, they initially promised you this autonomous drone, yeah, but now you have to add another $20 or $100 or whatever a month to have that feature, and that's not fair as a consumer. Come on, don't sell me, you know, promise me this, and then once I buy it, you have to upgrade or have a subscription to that feature. That's ridiculous.
Antonio, I just sent you a friend request on Facebook. I like you, brother.
Oh, Tony's a great guy. He's doing some phenomenal things. He owns Galaxy UAV. They do aerostats, blimps. He builds all types of drone. I've actually flown some experimental drones for him that we can't really talk about, but he's a great guy. You'll love him. Man, Texas is so cool. We got so much talent down here. We got Full Throttle Ariel, who's built a phenomenal. I'm sure you know Steve Dixon. We have
Steve's one of my favorites.
Jeffrey loves Steve Dixon.
Steve's my BFF.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Let's get him on the show.
He's definitely.
Oh, dude, we should. Steve will drop F-bombs like it's his fucking job. I'm telling you, dude. And he is one. Adrian, I'm glad you brought that up. We need to get Steve on the show.
You'd love him, dude.
He's a
straight shooter.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back at all. He's got less of a filter than I do. That's
He
saying something.
manufactures 4 different types of drones. Now it's going to cost you a liver and a lung to buy one of them, but they're phenomenal drones. And
Liver,
made
lung, and testicle. And made in Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas, too, I've seen. That Scorpion is fucking massive.
Oh, yeah, that thing's amazing.
I think that's the biggest drone I've ever seen and touched and felt and hugged and caressed and loved on.
For reference, Adrian and I both live in Dallas. I live, 15 minutes? 10, 15 minutes away from Adrian.
And full transparency, we're Jersey boys, but we got here as quick as we could.
That's all it is.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And here I am hanging out drinking redneck margaritas in Tennessee with them Texas boys.
Howdy.
Man, we could have a whole redneck show going on right now. Actually, so to be upfront, I'm actually from upstate New York, so we could have a bunch of damn Yankees that moved down south to be rednecks. That's what this is. This is the damn Yankee podcast.
That's all it is. That's why we don't have southern accents.
You know the difference between a Yankee and a damn Yankee? Yankees come down and move back up. Damn Yankees come down and stay. So you're a damn Yankee because you moved and stayed in Texas. So
howdy.
Yeah, buddy.
Did you guys hear what happened in San Francisco yesterday? They've approved.
Let's talk about it.
The first time in history they've given the San Francisco Police Department killer drones, or the capability to use killer drones.
I saw them asking for permission, but I did not follow through with
the
results of that.
5, one of the biggest hippie states in the country. Meanwhile, Texas has completely outlawed from allowing any robotics to execute a human being, where San Francisco has legalized, at least for the police department, the San Francisco Police Department, 8-5 vote where the commissioner allowed for the SFPD to utilize drones, either ground, terrestrial, maritime, whatever kind of drone they need to kill people, essentially, with drones, or let's say to use lethal drones. Yeah.
So let's be honest. I'm starting to think we need to make weed legal everywhere and start giving people a place to shoot up, because something like that would only be done in a place like that. Like, I'm in support of it. I think there's a time and place to have a lethal payload on an aircraft, without a doubt. Let's be honest. If I wanted to do it tomorrow with my soldering iron and a couple servos, it would be no issue. But with an exception of the FAA and all that other legal jargon. But the fact that law enforcement will be able to do that, it goes a long way. Let's be honest. Dallas blew somebody up with a robot, and it was the right call. Everybody says it was the right call. How many people would have been at stake if it wasn't for that? Put a bomb on it, drive it in, and be done with it.
I'm completely against any arming or militarization of the police department or any munitions strapped on a drone. But 6 years ago in Dallas, shit got real.
Yeah.
There was a sniper, a sharpshooter in a place that was really difficult to access with unlimited ammunition. He killed 5 police officers. And my brother-in-law is SWAT, right? So there is a certain term that's called death by cop, where people actually are suicidal and they want to die by a bullet from a police officer, but their intention is to be, to kill as many cops in the process. So yeah, there's a specific scenario where, okay, I get it. They need that tool in the toolbox, but I don't want them to open up that Pandora's box where we see that, and it's I don't know, it's not a good look.
I'm not saying send it in on everything. I'm not saying guy steals from the corner store and send the drone over there and tase him. I'm not saying that. But it's absolutely a tool that could save lives. Without a doubt, it is a tool that could save lives. Is it a tool that can do harm and injustice and blah, 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 blah? Yeah, but let's be honest. We'll kill our own country before one guy with a gun does. Just out of the the hysterics of it all. But that is a tool that can be used for something like you were saying in Texas, that trains, we're talking a trained sniper. It would have literally been one body falling after the next if we sent people in to try and solve it until somebody was better than he was. And it just would have been a bad day. And something like in San Francisco, I don't commend San Francisco for a lot, but enabling that ability to weaponize a drone
and being transparent about it.
and being transparent about it, that's the key.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know too much about this. I read this headlines, and that's about it. In terms of weaponizing drones, if there's a thief that's stealing a catalytic converter from a Hyundai, and a drone comes on over and like zaps him with a taser, how is the FAA not involved in this? This is literally a weapon on a drone.
So the FAA is, you cannot legally, federally put a firearm on a drone. That being said, there are things that you can put on a drone that don't violate that. If you were to have a charged cylinder, if air compression is what fires the munition, that technically is not an incendiary device on an aircraft. If you're actually putting 22 rounds on a drone, well, then you're talking a different story. We actually thought about doing it. Not that we thought about doing it. We were going to do it. But there's a company that makes bolo wraps. Are you familiar with a bolo wrap?
Yeah, I'm aware.
Basically a thing that takes your legs out or ties you up or makes you fall down, so on and so forth. But there's a company that makes basically a firearm that shoots bolo wraps. And we were going to put one on a drone just because it's non-lethal. You fly a drone up. And when I say we, like me, fucktard Jeff with a soldering iron and an FPV drone, we were going to do it just because we could, and it wouldn't break any regulation. Just to see if we could do it. But now there's other bigger companies in the game that want to put tasers on. A taser does not have an incendiary device on it. It is not a firearm. It is not. It's there. Where's my pilot institute, homie? I need him to text me. Greg, is it legal to put a taser on a drone? I know you're listening. Message me.
Even if it is, Axion tried that. They got a lot of blowback from the community. There's no need for that. I think just the SWAT team should have access to this type of tech. Besides that, that's within the wheelhouse of law enforcement. They have certain protocols to tackle those situations. But if you have somebody, with that type of munition that is readily able to kill police officers, then yes. But somebody's taking a catalytic converter or go ahead.
But at the same time, think about it as in outside of your use case or outside of your local law enforcement. So we've already got ground robots that have lethal payloads. We've seen Ghost. I mean, everybody's seen Ghost, the dog, I don't want to say rip off of Spot, but Ghost is basically Spot. That it's a dog that's robotic. We know Ghost can carry lethal payloads, and he actually does. There's a couple. I don't want to get too far into it, but there's a couple high security sensitive areas that they literally have these dogs patrolling, and one is shooting LiDAR for real time everything. So you have full LiDAR. You could tell if something's walking up to whatever it may be, and the other one has a lethal payload on it. For a reason, because if somebody else is in that area that shouldn't be, you, me, Bobby, and everybody listening doesn't want that person to be there. For a fact. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the same thing goes with weaponizing a drone. Do I think every cop should have a drone in the trunk of his car with a 12-gauge shotgun shell hanging off the bottom of it ready to fire? Absolutely not. That's stupidity. But do I believe it should be a tool in the toolbox so when shit really hits the fan and you have that active shooting, I hate to say it, but it's becoming more common. It's commonplace. It's not commonplace to the point where we expect one to happen every day, but it's commonplace that when they do happen, it's like, oh, that's horrible. Now here come the politicians and we all turn it political and so on and so forth. But it's commonplace. It's shit that happens. When stuff like that happens, I do think it should be a tool in the toolbox. Do I think the guy stealing a car should get tased by a drone? No. But do I think the guy that... Maybe that's Greg that messaged me. Let's see. Oh no, it wasn't.
And okay, so and this goes back to the two schools of thought, where whether or not this will either blow through or this is going to be regulation that is written in blood, and we'll have to see. Personally, from my personal, non-professional, non-Skybrowse related opinion, I think it's going to be written in blood. There's going to be some shit that happens where some 22-year-old cop busts out a drone, zaps some dude, and the dude ends up, I don't know, snapping his neck on a sidewalk or something like that. And it's gonna fuck the drone industry. That's just my thought.
I beg to differ. So, having law enforcement relations and being involved in that side of things, might the media blow something out of proportion if something was to happen? Absolutely. But you never, for one, it all depends. So as transparent as they're being, I'm trying to figure out how to be semi-PC. I need little more tequila to not be as PC. But in the grand scheme of things, they're not just going to send every fucktard that gets a 107 out there with a drone that fucking drops bodies. That's not going to happen. This initial transparency, like, hey, this is what we're planning on doing, I think goes a long way to say, hey, we are going to be transparent about all of this. I don't see them giving it to a 22-year-old officer that has been on the job for a week and a half. And I think it's going to be very, very heavily regulated within the department in and of itself. It's not just going to be commonplace for every vehicle to have. And then the training and the everything else that goes into it, it's not going to be an everyday occurrence that somebody gets shot by a drone. It's just not.
If you look at the past, we've got departments that are the early adopters that end up getting a bunch of drone pilots. Say, let's get 4 drone pilots, and then expand it to 8 after a year, right? These drone pilots are usually sergeants, lieutenants, people that have some experience, and then the 8 people, they end up being patrolmen, people that are just, I don't know, good at video games, right? And then this goes into the DFR space, and then this gets into the weaponized drone space. Well, if we look back into the past, how many people in the sergeant, lieutenant space in the initial early adopter stages crashed their drones? A shitload of people, right? A lot of people fucked up. Okay, that's fine. They crashed a drone. Nobody's hurt. Nobody's dead. It's fine. All right, DFR. Drone drops out of the sky. Nobody really talks about it. Nobody's hurt. Nobody's dead. It's fine. Well, what about the drones that are weaponized? Well, people might actually get hurt. People might actually die in this space. And maybe in the first few years, they'll be fine because they have the senior officers on board. They might have command staff that just happen to fly drones, run the drone program, and fly drones. You know, that happens in certain agencies. Well, what about those people a few years later when they're like, okay, they get comfortable with this, they train a rookie that has, 2 years of patrol experience, and they're like, oh yeah, this guy's good at Call of Duty. All right, let's get him on board on this. Well,
you are looking at it way wrong, though. Way wrong. Every SWAT team has det cord. They blast doors. They do shit with explosives all the time. They're not giving the new guy in the fucking car the keys to the kingdom. They're not.
Wait. You're segmenting it all into the SWAT space altogether.
Yes,
this is
absolutely.
DFR. We're combining this with DFR altogether because the drones will fly over to the spot.
They're not, though. We're talking about weaponizing drones and what they push through in San Francisco. We're not talking not every DFR drone is.
We're talking about the next 3 to 5 years. That's the context.
The next 3 to 5 years is. It's undetermined. There's no way to play what ifs, and if we play what ifs in the drone space right now based on what could happen in 3 to 5 years, we're handcuffing ourselves. So based off of that regulation and everything that San Francisco just pushed through saying we can weaponize drones, I look at that as a win for law enforcement. I know damn well they're not going to put it on every drone. They're not going to have a drone flying 12 miles out off of a 911 call that's armed with an AR. You might see that in the media, and those are the pictures that they'll post. They'll have a photoshopped M600 with 12 ARs on the bottom of it aiming at every direction, and that's what you're going to see. But as far as right now, time and place, San Francisco passed a bill that allows law enforcement to use an aircraft that's been weaponized. The feds haven't approved it, so there's still hoops to go through. But as far as that initial step, we're already letting them putting them on. We're already letting them put them on dogs. We're already letting them put them on robots.
Well, Jeff,
why
we're
is this different?
in the startup business, right? So we're looking to predict the future, figure out what people want, and obviously
Absolutely.
monetize and make a shitload of money out of
Absolutely.
it. So in this case, my take is that DFR and weaponized drones will marry with each other
No.
over time. And this is going to be a legislation that's going to be written in blood, and shit's going to go down where it's going to hurt the drone industry more than it's going to help it. And Adrian, what do you think on this? What's your take on this?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to just say, any weaponization of drones, whether they're on the ground, water, air, there has to be. So just like in war, right? There's rules of engagement, right? You have to get approval from leadership. So unless the chief of police gives you that green light, there's no reason why. And that's what happened here in Dallas. The police chief made that executive decision. So in those certain circumstances, then okay, that's the last resort. But as far as outfitting drones with guns and tasers and, maybe the most I would push it for would be some high intensity lights or something else that really stun the assailant, but lethal force is going to be out of the picture for me, unless like what Dallas did is essentially they strapped C4 on a ground robot and approached. Essentially, I believe what they told them, they were going to give him a pack of cigarettes, and they just showed up and blew the gentleman up. But it's a real slippery slope, and if we open up that Pandora's box, then what's going to prevent criminals for utilizing the same technology? And that's, we still have SWAT, we still have National Guard, we still have other resources to deploy there, but it's just, there's perception there from the public is going to be very difficult to reverse after we unleash those type of technologies domestically.
That's just it, though. It's not going to be on every drone. So we have had C4 in law enforcement for decades. Since C4 was C4, they've had it. That doesn't mean it's in every patrol car. And that's what I'm getting at, is the fact that they took the step to say, yes, you can do it, does not mean it's going to be on every drone. Does not mean it's going to be in every flight or everything. I personally think the step is a good thing. But I also realize it would, let's be honest, the bad guys, if they want to put C4, all it would take is getting some C4, a blasting cap, and a fucking servo. You wouldn't even need a servo. You can remote detonate a blasting cap with a 12 volt.
It's not that easy to acquire, let's be honest. I mean, it's going to be tough to source those materials. But I don't want this to kind of consume our. I think we should be talking about some more positive thing that's happening public safety specifically. I mean,
there's a lot going on in public safety that is good.
Really good. I mean, the stuff that we see here in Texas specifically, and all these other, we should start promoting those stories, because we get down this rabbit hole of all this negative stuff, and we're shooting.
We go all day. I agree.
Yep.
I agree. But that's what
essentially
that's what we're here to talk about, is the shit that no one else is going to talk about. It's conversation. It's no more than that. Like, Bobby can tell me to go fuck myself tonight, and I'll hug him and kiss him tomorrow. We are comfortable in this space, and that's why we are comfortable to talk about this kind of random shit. But let's talk about some good shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of good shit going on. If you're in North Texas this Sunday, we have our regularly scheduled drone church, if you will. Every first Sunday of the month, we meet up. We fly drones out in person. We'll be at the Railroad Park in Louisville. Make sure to DM me if you need some more details. But every first Sunday of each month. And then every Saturday, we host a drone club on the Clubhouse app. So if you want, pull up to the drone club this Saturday, 3 p.m. Central. We'll have some more discussions. But, there's a lot of good things that are happening that nobody really knows about, that's not being promoted out there. But the media, evil sells. Negativity is sexy, right? And that sells newspapers and subscriptions. Meanwhile, nobody's telling the story of somebody's grandfather just got rescued using a thermal drone out in the woods because he just got lost. So let's do a better job of educating the positive things in our industry.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So if you're in the North Central Texas area, specifically DFW area, come on out to Drone Club. That's the Clubhouse podcast right there where you can join in. You can join in as a speaker and chat about your drone experiences, or come on out to Drone Church the first Sunday of every single month at the Railroad Park, where you can fly drones with everybody. Bunch of cool dudes flying drones. If you try fishing there, it's going to be tough. I tried personally fishing for like an hour and a half, and I couldn't catch a single thing, but you can still fly drones there. It's a good time.
So if John McBride showed up to Drone Church, would everybody just fall over and?
Oh yeah, everybody would have to repent and
repent.
It'll be cool. Cool.
Oh man, hell yeah.
And we've actually created an Avada league. So we have a course set up, and everybody brings their Avadas, and we all chip in $5. And whoever wins gets the pot. So, and then this is for people that are not in the space, that are either hobbyists or recreationalists. We want to welcome those guys because that's our future generation of drone pilots. So that's why we do it, and it doesn't cost you anything. And the same thing on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is beautiful because everyone can speak their mind. You got people pulling up to the Clubhouse like Drone Jesus or like these major heavyweights in the drone space that just come out of the blue and shed some light on current topics. So definitely look us up and try to link up with me. I'd love to promote the industry any way I can, but man, I can't thank you guys enough for giving me this platform. I hope you're I think the way now, Bobby, correct me if I'm wrong, because I see some similarities here. Drones After Dark, and then what's the counter of that? Is that like the Dawn of Drones or Drones?
Oh no! Did he just compare us to Dawn of Drones?
I don't know. I'm saying.
No, he's the counter of that.
Is the counter? Okay, good.
The opposite of that.
The darkness balances out the light.
Yeah, Drones After Dark is definitely the darkness. That's for sure. This is for all of our listeners watching. This is the shit that we talk about at conferences when we're fucking wasted, from green tea shots and bourbon and cigars and all that shit. So,
I can't wait till the next time I get to have a good cigar with Adrian. Can't wait.
When's that? May? Oh man, that's in a while.
Are you going to CES, Adrian?
I'm to CES.
I've been at CES. I don't know if Sony pays my way, I'll go. If not, I'm gonna have to cancel this year.
Oh
man!
Usually
Sony really hooks a brother up, and we go out there and we brag about all the Sony gear. But this year it's gonna be tough. We'll see.
Yep.
Well, we'll be there. We'll just be hanging out with our buddies at Autel. Definitely not any sort of
shenanigans
relationships we have with their founder that rock climbs with us. No,
nothing to do with any of that.
No, not at all.
Oh, there'll be no shenanigans at CES either with Billy Kyle and everyone else that's coming. None.
Zero
fuckery whatsoever. Especially if Adrian's not there, dude. Our fuckery's limited.
Yeah, you can't find.
We're only working
strippers without Adrian.
Holy shit. There it is.
Man.
The best guest we have on Drones After Dark. Here he is, Adrian Doko from Lone Star Chapter, AUVSI. Thank you for attending. Thank you for joining us, Adrian. Any shout-outs you have before we conclude the show?
Yeah, I want to shout out to everybody, man. If you're in the drone space, the struggle is real. We know how you feel, and there's a lot of grievances, whether we're either shooting shots at the FAA or the industry in general. But we have to do a better job of being good ambassadors for the industry. You can bitch and moan and complain all you want, but unless you have a solution, shut the fuck up, please. Thank you.
Love you. Hey, Adrian, stick around after this. You got to wait for some shit to upload and whatnot. Before you cut out, and Yeah.
Shout out to Adrian Doko, and we are done. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll
Thank
see you next week, 7 days from today. That's right. It's a Thursday podcast. Thanks,
Yeah,
everybody.
motherfucker.
Are you
Hold
starting
on.
the after show already?
All right. Yeah, after show's happening right now. Let's go piss. Okay, we'll talk to you later.
Everybody pissing contest.